What's your name?
Robert Rich.
Robert Rich. Hi, I'm Todd. NAMM 2011. We're at the Analog Haven booth. We're here with Robert Rich. The company name is...
Well, I'm with Synthesis Technology today.
Okay.
So,
all right. So why don't you just take it away here. This is just amazing stuff and very interesting, and we'll just let you talk about what you do and demonstrate.
well, this is actually my live performing rig right here. Slightly modified, a few things pulled in and out for touring. And I brought it here to demonstrate some of the new modules from Synthesis Technology, if I can actually pronounce a word. And in particular, we've got some large format versions of the Morphing Terrarium and the Cloud Oscillator. And basically, the normal format for these is Eurorack, which is the small one over here. And what Paul Schreiber did for me is put large faceplates on them so that it would fit into the MOTM format. And what I can do is show you the Cloud Oscillator first, which is basically 6 oscillators behind one front panel, and it's voltage controllable. And then there's a spread control to detune the oscillators, either 2, 4, or 8 oscillators. It has a sawtooth and a sine output. The sine output's especially good for these kinds of cloudy sounds like choral or weird bell or pocky kind of sounds. And the sawtooth turns into just a killer bass line or lead line, a little bit like a big polysynth that's been switched into mono mode. So I've got a simple sequencer, just an arpeggio going with the MIDI to CV converter, and it's going through a low-pass filter. And I'll turn it up, and you'll get a little bit of a bass line with some echo. And right now it's 8 oscillators. When I push 2 oscillators, it'll get a little louder, and that's because the 2 oscillators have less phase difference. Right now they're perfectly in tune, and I can spread it so that they get thicker. And you can hear that when I get 4 oscillators, it's even thicker. And 8 oscillators, it's thicker yet. Very smooth sound. And I can brighten up the filter. And you can hear that if I go really wide, it becomes dissonant. And I can add noise, slow, and I can filter the noise so it's brighter. Now we've got this noise modulated triangle wave. And you can hear, if I bring the pitch up, I can bring it back down to tonal, and we have something a little bit like a Roland Supersaw, except with 8 oscillators and spreadable. Now if instead I go to the sine output, we will get these smooth sorts of pock kind of sounds, like little blurry percussive sounds, which can become noisy if we want. All the way to outside weirdness. And then right back to a sine wave, to blur. So flexible within a range of sounds. Showing the Morphing Terrarium now. This is a wavetable oscillator with 192 waveforms. When Paul told me that this thing would be, Paul Schreiber, the owner of the company, told me that this thing was going to be able to morph smoothly between waveforms, we realized that we could do something that hadn't been done before in things like the wired mini wave or the old PPG wave term. And that is, we could do sinusoidal frequencies, things that were smooth harmonic sounds. And I like to work in overtone series. I like to work in harmonic series, alternate tunings, things like that. So they asked me if I would build a new set of waves for this, which I calculated mathematically so they would be perfect without glitches at the loop points. And this allows us to get very smooth transitions, very glassy kinds of sounds. What you're hearing right now is bank A of 64 different wavetables being swept with an LFO, which is right here. And so I unplugged that, and now it's just manually sweeping. You can hear, if I take the arpeggio off, I'm just going to take these notes off the keyboard, and we're going to hear a low frequency now. And what I'm going to do is just sweep through the first 64 waveforms very slowly, and you'll hear how smooth the transitions are. These are overtone series. Some power functions of even and odd harmonics. And some Hammond organ drawbar settings, which are basically power functions of sine waves. And then some rounded triangle and square waves. If we go to the second bank, we've got some more traditional oscillators. So these are actually some power functions of sawtooth, even and odd, and then pulse width modulated square wave. So you can do standard analog VCO kinds of things. And then we actually have some vocal formants, which if I open this up like this, you can hear. We have male and female vocal formants, which means that if it's in different pitch ranges, you can make it talk properly without it going into chipmunk zone. And at the top, some buzzy PPG messy waveforms. The vocal formants and the PPG waveforms were, some of those are old ones, and some are actually from new calculations that the programmer for this, Eric Brombach, did from scratch from some of the old calculations from AT&T, Bell Labs back in the 50s. So the other thing that the Morphing Terrarium can do is in low-pass mode, it can go as slow as 1 cycle in 13 minutes. And that means that there's this opportunity to do some complex waveforms and actually have them be used for controller waves. As an LFO, it would be very difficult to create these kinds of waveforms without, 5 or 6 modules. And so if I move the patch over to here, what we'll have is an unfiltered square wave. So just a very buzzy sound. It's not going to be very pretty. And I'm going to be modulating the pitch of that square wave with some of these LFOs. And we're in bank C now, which has these complex waves, and we're in the slowest of the LFO modes. And I'm just going to have it modulate pitch. So you're going to get some buzzy sounds here. I'm going to turn off any delay. So this is just simple waveforms at the beginning, and then there's some actual frequency modulated waveforms. So you can hear how it's changing. This would be as if you were putting an LFO into an LFO to frequency modulate the rate. And here's some different versions of FM. And then I've got some sums. So this is a low frequency LFO being used as a carrier for a high frequency LFO. So you can see the wiggling is moving in frequency. I call this the Three Stooges LFO here. So we've got some very complex waveforms, and this wouldn't have been possible without voltage-controllable LFOs in a rather complex patch. So a single module can do all of these really complex things. I've got some glitch waveforms, things that are actually like, surface noise of a record with little clicks and pops. And, we can turn this really, really slow, and it'll just make some very strange, almost stochastic kinds of control voltages. And even we go up higher, and we get some more complex things, including noise. And since you can modulate all of these, and there's 2 outputs which can have different wavetables simultaneously coming from them, what that means is you can modulate you can morph one wavetable into another table with one of the other outputs. So the single module can make it go completely random, and it would probably never repeat for years. So that's the Morphing Terrarium. These are available in Eurorack, which you can see over here. This is the standard format for these right here. And this is compatible with Dope4 racks and all the other Eurorack modules. They're made by Synthesis Technology. And these are available right now, the Morphing Terrarium and the Cloud Generator.
All right, well, thanks, Robert. I find that's really informative. And when I go back home to Colorado, I'm going to really check out what you're talking about here more and use it as a really good educational tool, as I do a lot of analog synthesis. So thank you. All right. Cool.